SABC News presentation.
And you're watching Interface here on SABC3. A warm welcome to you. My name is Thembisa Marele. The South African Democratic Teachers Union, SADTU, has given Education Minister an ultimatum: leave or we go on an indefinite strike. This call comes after the minister announced that the department was looking into introducing an electronic monitoring system to track teacher absenteeism. My guest tonight is SADTU Deputy General Secretary, Mr. Nkosana Dolopi. And 33726 is our SMS line if you would like to get in touch, or Interface on SABC3 if you want to drop us a line on Facebook. Let's get straight into it. Welcome to the program and thank you for joining us.
Good evening and thanks for having us.
So you're disputing this intro of mine when I said that we're saying that you have given the Education Minister an ultimatum to say, if you don't leave, we go on an indefinite strike. The work to rule issue, you say is not a strike. Can you just explain to us, what have you said?
Look, our decision is that the minister must resign.
Yes.
And we are saying she must resign with immediate effect. And that will then be extended to the Director General, a call that would have made a long time ago that he must also go. So work to rule will then mean that we are only working strictly in terms of our contract time for the 7 hours that we are employed for. We are not going to work any hour before that. We are not going to work any hour beyond that. We are not going to work on Saturdays, no extra classes. We are not going to work on holidays, not attend any workshop by the department. We are in fact disengaging totally with the Department of Education.
That's an ultimatum, though.
Our members will not participate in any program by the Department of Education.
But I'm saying that is an ultimatum.
Yes, indeed, we are saying that the minister must resign.
When did you decide that the minister was not doing well in her position? At what point did you decide that it's not just the deputy, just Mr. Subramani, but also the minister that needs to go?
We had our National Executive Committee on the 3rd of March. In that National Executive Committee, we did some assessment of the state of education in the country, the state of health of education in the country. And then after some assessment, real discussion that we had in that meeting, we then came to a conclusion that it was the right time for us to make a call that the Minister of Education in the country must resign. And that was based on real facts that were on the table. Facts as follows. Mm-hmm. We have seen the department limping from one crisis to another crisis. We can cite the example of the Eastern Cape, for instance, where Cabinet took a decision at some stage to institute Section 101B to rescue our situation of education in the Eastern Cape. Following that province was the Limpopo province. Similarly, Cabinet took a decision to institute Section 101B to try to turn around the situation in that province. Mm-hmm. This was then assigned to the Minister of Education to make sure that on behalf of Cabinet, she turns around those two provinces. What is a fact that we are presenting to the country today is that she failed dismally to turn around both those provinces. In the Eastern Cape now, as I'm talking to you, it's almost the 3rd month of the year. Mm. There's no real learning and teaching taking place there.
But I mean, this is not new, Nkosana. And for you to call for her resignation now is a bit suspect, because it coincides with the announcement of the rollout of the electronic tracking system for absenteeism. So it looks as though you're saying, if you're going to implement that system, we are now going to call for you to resign.
No, not at all. The real issues, it's something to do with the future of our learners. I mean, if there's confusion about the appointment of teachers like the case is now in the Eastern Cape, mm-hmm. the people who stand to lose the most, who are affected the most by that, are our children. Because you'll have situation of children facing overcrowding at our schools. So we are saying for up until the minister come to, in fact she has failed, she won't be able to do that. We are saying that our children will then be subjected to the appalling conditions like we have in the Eastern Cape.
But the question I'm asking you,
Limpopo,
though, is
yeah.
why now? Why are you now calling for her to resign when these issues and these problems, I mean, the Limpopo province issue, the Eastern Cape province issue that you've mentioned, it's not new. Why are you only calling for a resignation now?
You would remember last year we said that there was a report, in fact, there was an investigation by the president. There was a commission that was established by the president of the country. We wanted to allow that process of that commission of the investigation to continue. And we were awaiting a report from that commission. You remember in September last year, that commission then presented a report to the president. The president then tasked the minister to follow up on some of the findings coming from that commission. And she has failed once more to respond to clear issues, clear instructions that she was given by the president of the country.
But the barrel of your gun was targeted at the Director General, the DG, and not the minister. And now it's moved, well, it's now targeted at both. And the question I'm asking you is, why did you not do that before? Why did you not target both of them before? Why is it now moving seemingly to the minister at a time when this electronic system is being introduced?
No, let me then tell you that, look, when we met at the National Executive Committee, we looked at the entire system of education. We then said, we have given the minister enough time now to make sure that she's able to correct these wrong things that are happening. And then we came to a conclusion that having been given enough time, she will not be able to assist us to move forward. Hence, we then took the decision that it was the right time for us now, on the 3rd of March, to come to that conclusion.
All right. Let me read you one of the responses from the General Secretary of the ANC, Mr. Gwede Mantashe. He says that SADTU has failed to appreciate the importance of education. One day, you need to appreciate, you as SADTU, need to appreciate the importance of articulating fundamental issues that project you as willing to improve the education of our children, particularly the education of black children. Currently, you are not. What's your response to that?
Look, I hope he would appreciate what we would have submitted to him. In fact, on the 14th of November last year, we wrote a letter to the Secretary General of the ANC detailing our challenges that we are facing in education, long before we took this decision to dismiss, to call for the resignation of the minister. Again, last week, we wrote a letter to the Secretary General of the ANC detailing reasons that then led to us taking this decision. So it will be unfortunate for the Secretary General to say that we don't appreciate our critical role that we should be playing to make sure that the children of this country access education. But we want to say, does he mean that when a Minister of Education from government terminates a collective agreement that we have signed collectively with the unions, that is something that we must be applauding, clap our hands and say, yes, indeed, we have a good minister who terminates collective agreements at the risk of calling for labor unrest in the country.
And I want us to talk about that and also talk about your propensity to turn to strike action when things don't go your way. But we've got to take a short break. And let's just say that we did invite the Department of Education and they were not available to join this discussion. But you can join the discussion by SMSing 33726 or by just finding us on our Facebook page and liking us there. And it is Interface on SABC3. We're back after this. Welcome back to Interface here on SABC3. SADTU in the spotlight. Tonight, the General Secretary, or the Deputy General Secretary, Nkosana Dolopu, joins us, and we're talking to him about a range of issues, including the strike action and also the electronic tracking system that is about to be introduced for teachers. Remember that we do take your SMSs, 33726, and also your Facebook messages, and we'll read some of them a little later on the program. Now, let's just get this one out of the way before we talk about the strikes. This electronic tracking system, when I read about that, I thought, great, because now you can actually track the absenteeism of teachers and you won't have people signing on behalf of other people, and you can have this monitored. And you, as SADTU, can say, here are the records. You've got us tracked electronically. You should be able to see our commitment. Why would you oppose this system?
Look, the point is that we can't see how it will assist us to make sure that we deliver education to our children.
Hang on, how can you say that when it will make sure that teachers are in the classroom teaching?
No, you can be at school, you can be in the classroom and not teach. So I don't think this clock will be able to follow up on what teachers do in the classroom. That's why we are saying we need to focus on supporting and making sure that teachers deliver their work at the level of the site, at the level of the classroom.
How?
And by firstly, concentrate on development, for instance, making sure that they understand what they need to do in the classroom. Support them with creating a conducive environment for them to be able to do their work. Provide them with all the necessary tools that will be able to assist them to do their work. This instrument will not resolve, for instance, a situation in a match structure where there's no electricity. Where are you going to install this machine at a school in Limpopo that is still taking place under a tree? I mean, there are practical questions that we are asking that this thing will not be able to respond
But
to.
are you opposed to it in principle as well? So are you opposed to teachers being tracked and monitored whether or not they are in the school?
Teachers are being tracked currently. When you arrive I'm a teacher myself. When you arrive at school, the first thing you do, you go to the office, the administration block of the school.
No, Nkosana, but you and I both know that system is fraught with irregularities and all sorts of mistakes. I can sign on your behalf. Teachers have been known to do things to circumvent the system. I
don't know about that. I'm a teacher myself. I never did it. I don't remember seeing any teacher doing that. If, for instance, let me come to you, if there is a teacher who would have done that, that constitutes misconduct. It means you must act on somebody who's doing something wrong. But what we will not accept is a generalization.
Okay.
Because you have one person who would have done that, you generalize and say all teachers are doing that.
All right.
We have honest teachers who go to school, fill in the register, go to class, do their work, and we should support them for doing that instead of coming with a clock that is just going to waste your money. Let me just add one point on this matter of this clock. This clock will cost the country almost 400 million rand. In our conservative estimate, we feel like we can build up to 30 to 40 schools, and we will then be able to respond to the challenge of the mud schools that we are facing in the Eastern Cape. It's going to be a waste of money. In fact, we are asking the question as to who, again, through a tender system, are we going to support? Who are we going to enrich through this 400 million rand that we want to waste and that we can use on something
Those are fair
else?
questions, and we would have posed them to the department had they been part of this discussion. But let's go back to your responsibility as teachers and as the union that represents the teachers. You've just said that you want to show your commitment. You want to get the developmental issues in place. You want to make sure that the teachers get the support. But are you not shooting yourselves in the foot here by saying you are disengaging totally from the department unless the minister goes? You're not going to attend the very workshops that would have been designed to help you in that development.
In fact, we can tell the country now that we established in 2010 our own Professional Development Institute. And we're doing well throughout the country. And no one, in fact, is raising this. The media is not catching this and informing the country that on our own, we are developing our members. In fact, this weekend, we are coming from Mpumalanga, training teachers on CAPS. We will be going to Limpopo. We have gone to Eastern Cape, training principals to assist them to become better managers instead of putting clocks that will not assist them in any way. We are saying, let's use this money to develop teachers. Let's use this money.
It's a great initiative on your part. It's a great initiative on your part. Is it translating into a better education system for the country?
Of course. I mean,
if so, why do we not have the matric results that we are hoping for? Why do we still have the education system in such a bad state, even with the initiatives that you would have put in place?
No. My sister, I mean, if you talk about the matric results, you would have seen the effort of the teachers paying off. In the past 2-3 years, I mean, we have seen an increase.
The department is going to claim that as a victory for them?
Are they teaching? You and I know that who is in the classroom. It is teachers who are teaching. It was teachers who are doing extra work. It was teachers who sacrificed their Saturdays and holidays, and not the Department of Education. They are sitting in the comforts of their offices there. They must not steal what belongs to the teachers. The teachers are spending all their time sacrificing their families to make sure that They teach and prepare these children throughout under very, very difficult conditions,
Okay.
of course.
Now, one of the issues that always comes up when it comes to teachers on a global stage is that South African teachers in particular, whenever it gets a little bit hot under the collar, you run for a strike action. You leave the classrooms, you abandon the very children that you were talking about, and you go on strike. Why do you keep doing that?
Not true. Not true. If you check your facts, if you do some research.
No. Let me give you some research on that very point. In 2010,
Yes.
you, the South African teachers, left the children in the classroom before matric to go on strike nationwide. That's a fact.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not true. Let me tell you, since we were born in 1990, we alone as SADTU nationally have gone to strike only on 2 occasions. We nationally as SADTU have gone on strike only on 2 occasions.
What did you do in 2010?
No, let me come to that. We only striked in 1993 when we were fighting for recognition from the then apartheid government. Again, nationally, we went on strike in 1997 when we were fighting for post-provisioning norms, when we were fighting against overcrowding. We've been forced to teach mass meetings before 1997. Hence, we then had a collective agreement that we signed in 1997 to regulate class sizes.
I've got to
in
take
the
a
country.
break, but I want to know what happened in 2010. If you're saying you didn't go on strike weeks before the children were supposed to write exams, what happened?
No, it's fine, I'll come to that. Because in 2010, I don't remember, if you check your facts, that nationally we would have gone to strike. What happened? Our province, Eastern Cape, in fact, if you check your facts, was a province that made that threat to say that they might go on strike if their demands are not met. We intervened as the National Office of SADTU and told them that no, it can't be right that when learners are preparing for examinations, you make such a threat. They've never gone on strike. They've never been on strike when learners were writing
You have got a
examinations.
lot of correcting to do then, because internationally, I'm talking international media reports, I'm talking everything, not just in South Africa. The reports are in 2010, South African teachers deserted the students and went on a strike action weeks before the children are supposed to sit for exams.
They are confusing it with the public sector strike. That one was because of the salaries. It was not only teachers.
But teachers were a part of that.
Of course, but then why do you single them out? If it was
Teachers went on strike before the matric
but
exam.
it was not SADTU that called a strike.
But it was a teacher's strike.
But public servants went on strike.
We're not going to agree on this one, Kosana. But let's take a quick break. We're back after this, and we will be reading some of your Facebook messages. Welcome back. You're watching Interface here on SABC3, talking about the South African National Teachers Union, and that is SADTU. Now, Cindy Swamani on our Facebook page says educators should be monitored as they spend most of their time shopping, especially on the 20th of the month. Believe me, I have seen this happen in our public schools. What Minister Angie Motshekga is doing is good, and I support her decision because people want to get paid and do nothing. Spelele Magolwane Giane says teachers need to be accountable, and what the minister is introducing is for the benefit of the country. Noktula Ramwato says, I don't see how tracking teachers' absenteeism will help the state of our education system, really. Karabo Huaka says, honestly, why not? Suddenly, SADTU wants to strike over such a pitiful issue of monitoring teacher absenteeism. Well, I believe there is someone at the back pulling his or her political motives. Mthunzi Ndimane says, without accountability, we can expect some teachers to do the least they can. Not only do they need the system, but we also need a performance-based remuneration. Semi Mukhale says, as these teachers want to embark on a strike, it's not their kids who are going to suffer. Vuisile Tolbert says, it's long overdue. She was supposed to have gone last year. We can't have someone like her as a Minister of Education. Pearl Mohaleng says, Angie has done an outstanding job and the pass rate is improving. And I just want to read one more, and it comes from Anniversary Memphis. says, u-Angie lo uzaba nayo na eyokufaka ezi systems imali engenayo nje eyokuqasha otishara. Simply translated, will the minister have the money for the system when she doesn't have enough money for employing teachers? Those are just some of your Facebook messages, and a mixed bunch, as you can see, some in support of you and some totally against you. But let's get back to what we're talking about briefly, and that is looking at the strike action, and then we can close that issue. You are arguing that you didn't go on a strike alone as SADTU, but you did participate in the strike action as part of the public sector strike, and the children were let down by teachers. So we can put that one to rest.
Yes. No, we agree.
One of the other things I want to ask, if you look at the laptops issue that you wanted to raise, the minister promised laptops. They have not been delivered. What response have you been given by the Department of Education on this?
Once more, failure from a side. No clarity, really. I mean, they would send you from pillar to post. At some stage, it was at the level of the ELRC, where we are Education Labour Relations Council, where all parties are bargaining for the conditions of teachers. From there, I mean, you can ask any leader of SADTU, any union leader in the country. They won't be able to tell you what happened to that thing of the laptops. Teachers were promised. They were told that this is a tool to do work. And it's almost 3 years now, nothing happening. So it's one reason that then assisted us to come to a conclusion that the minister is just not fit to assist us to manage this Department of Education. I've mentioned the question of the 2 provinces where she can't turn around those 2 provinces. I mentioned a termination of a collective agreement unilaterally. It's for the first time since 1994 that a minister provoked workers by terminating a collective agreement, undermining collective bargaining, at the risk.
But what reasons did she give?
Not at all. I mean, it's just that she's saying the DG who signed the collective agreement made a mistake that cost the country 700 million rand. And it is just a normal mistake. The DG enjoys his salary every day. You continue serving as a DG, where he plunged the country into a 7 million rand crisis. Elsewhere, we know that the former commissioner of the police made a mistake by signing a contract in terms of that building kind of thing. He was dismissed immediately for making a mistake, signing a contract without reading that contract. I read today that somebody in communication department was suspended for using 3 million rand without permission from the board. That person was suspended. Here we have somebody who signed a collective agreement worth 700 million rand, and nothing happens to the person.
Okay,
It's normal.
so you've outlined the reasons why you would like the minister to go. Getting back to your responsibility, if you look at education getting the biggest slice of the national budget year in, year out, I mean, if you look at the figures for 2013, we're going to spend more than 23 billion rand on beefing up just the school's infrastructure. That, for me, is a sign that the department and the government are serious about making sure that education is up to scratch, wouldn't you say?
No, of course. I mean, we appreciate the budget that is set aside for education. But the money must go for what it's meant for.
Okay.
We must prioritize, and we must prioritize well. We can't prioritize a clocking system to an amount of 400 million rand.
Here's a question for you. Here's a question for you. Would you be opposed, or would you support a remuneration-based, a performance-based remuneration system? So in other words, the work that you do is actually recognized. Those teachers that are teaching and doing a good job are recognized and rewarded, and those that are not, are not.
In fact, we have that. Teachers, in fact, we have what we call the integrated quality management system. And in fact, we must also state that each time you get employed as a teacher, you get into a contract with the employer. You sign a contract with the employer. And in that contract, the whole indicators in terms of your performance are stated in that contract. So from time to time, your employer would follow up to check whether you are delivering in terms of those indicators. And that has been happening throughout this thing. If we have teachers in the system who are not performing, who are very few in course. You don't have to generalize and say all teachers in the country are bad, because you see what you are doing by doing that. You discourage, you demotivate even those who are spending more time than expected to do their goal. So let's appreciate those teachers who are doing well. Let's support them, let's motivate them, and make sure that they deliver even more.
Here's a quick one before we go. Education being made an essential service. You're opposing that, but would that not help us to upgrade the standard of our education in the country?
The Constitution of the country does not allow that. The Labour Relations Act does not allow that. International conventions that we sign as a government does not allow that. So it's not only us who are opposing it. Law in the country, internationally, does not allow that.
And you don't think it should change?
It can't. I mean, if you look, you have health, for instance, as a department of education. It's a department that is essential service. What is better in the health department? We have crisis without medicine at hospitals, dirty hospitals, and so on and so forth. So essential service is a shortcut to addressing the real challenges that we're facing.
So much more to talk to you about. Thank you so much, though, for coming through. Nkosana Dolop is the Deputy General Secretary of the South African Democratic Teachers Union. Thank you so much for participating in the program. Remember, we can keep the conversation going on our Facebook page and also on our email address. That's interface on sabc3.co.za. From me, Thembisa Marele, and the team, good night.